Hello and welcome! Do you believe in fairy tales? Today I have another one just for you. Now it's a bit of a forgotten one, and rightfully so. Today we're going to talk about Babes in Toyland. Babes in Toyland was released in 1961. It is based on the operetta by Victor Hubert, and it clarifies itself as a Christmas musical film. Well, we have the first problem of many issues in this movie. They don't mention Christmas until an hour and 11 minutes into the movie, and it's an hour and 45 minutes long of a film, including credits. So, we're off to a great start already.
I'll never make that Christmas deadline now.
It has a really rich cast when it comes to Disney royalty and cinematic royalty because there's a lot of big stars in here. Annette Funicello is our main star. She plays Mary. Tommy Sands is Tom Piper. And then we also have Ed Wynn and Tommy Kirk, who also have been in many Disney films. We talked about Tommy Kirk before, especially when we covered their comedies. He was in The Absent-Minded Professor, as well as Bon Voyage. And then we also have Ray Bolgar, who is from the legendary Wizard of Oz. He played the Scarecrow in that movie, and he really is fantastic, and he still is one of the best characters in this film as well, so he's wonderful. After doing some research, I found out that it was a variation of scrap pieces from the Wizard of Oz sequel, and it makes so much more sense. Back in the 50s, they originally were going to continue on with the Wizard of Oz series because Walt Disney did own the rights to the Wizard of Oz books.
Well, it's like this, Mr. Disney. The studio owns all the Oz stories, right?
Right.
They were working on a production called The Rainbow Road to Oz, and you can see a preview of what they were working on with the Mouseketeers.
Take the walk of the lion, he's the king of Oz. Add the wiggle of the woozy as he claps his paws. Take a pinch of Kansas cyclone, sprinkle on top. Mix them up, man, you got the Oz can hop.
That was a segment for one of the shows they did, and it's a lot better than what this movie turned out to be. I would honestly love to see that over what this turned out. Although I do have to say that I do like that Wizard of Oz is a standalone film and we never really got a sequel to it. Unless you count Return to Oz and the variations that were different spin-offs that weren't owned under MGM Studios. But instead of any of that, we ended up getting this. A Christmas musical where it's not really Christmas at all. There's tiny little references to Christmas in the last 15-20 minutes of the movie, and everything else is just standard fairy tale. The sets are fantastic. It really is looking astonishing, and it's really nice, but when we open up on the creepiest puppet goose telling us what we're about to witness.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sylvester. Sylvester J. Goose. My friends call me Sil, or sometimes Silly.
Because, yes, this is definitely a great start to this film.
I present the one and only Mother Goose.
Thank you, Sylvester. Blabbermouth. I'm here to invite you to a celebration in our village. Tomorrow is the wedding of Tom and Mary.
Two of my closest friends.
Oh, and then we have him carried around the entire movie by Mother Goose. We have our introduction to all the characters, all the fairy tales of what's happening, and we learn that Mary and Tom are about to get married to stay before their wedding, but Barnaby is going to stop them because he wants to marry Mary for himself.
You see, unbeknownst to Mary, she inherits scads of money when she marries. Thus it carries that if I'm to get my hands on Mary's money, the person Mary marries must be me, not Tom, me. I must do away with Tom.
So he hatches a plan to steal Tom and make it seem like he died, so Mary will have no choice but to marry him. And yes, let's break out into song while delivering the most serious of news.
I advise you to forget him now, Miss Mary. Our condolences to you we do extend. But we'll blame you not, my dear, if you care to shed a tear for the way he met his most untimely end. Slowly, slowly he sank into the sea.
There's no emotion at all in this performances. And even with Mary, she's just standing there all dumbfounded, not believing anything, not even weeping that much over the fact that your fiance just died. But because she can't figure out any math and is behind on bills, she feels like she has no choice.
Add, subtract, and multiply till you're overcome. This is much too hard for us. We can't do the sum. No use trying anymore. I can't do the sum.
But that's okay, because this is a song for us millennials. We're just dealing with the same thing. Barnaby is excited because he gets his wish. They're getting ready to get married, but because he sold Tom to gypsies, he hires a gypsy band back, and Tom ends up disguising himself and reappearing, and his plan gets foiled.
Observe now, dear friends, and please try to stay calm. Goodbye to Floretta.
And hello to Tom.
And the longer I watch this, I'm just questioning, was this the inspiration for the bowler hat guy?
Everyone will tell you to let it go and move on, but don't. Instead, let it fester and boil inside of you. Take these feelings and lock them away. Let them fuel your actions. Let hate be your ally, and you will be capable of wonderfully horrid things.
Because I feel like this was such an inspiration from it. There's so many similarities to it. So while this is going on, the kids decide to help Mary out as well, unknowing that Tom is actually still alive, and they try to find these sheep that were lost in the forest of no return.
I'm sure my poor sweet fleecy things would come home if they could, but they are lost, you see.
And as a side note, I really love Bo Peep's character. I love her voice. She was honestly my favorite part about this movie. The kids end up in the forest of no return.
Can't you see? This is private property. Aren't the signs plain and clear? No one is allowed in here. But since you're here, you should know we will never let you go. You can cry, you can shout, but you can't get out.
And these trees also look very familiar to me, as well as disturbing, but they look like something else I've seen.
When the crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake, spooks come out for a swing and wake.
So I will say that Disney seemed to have a lot of inspiration from this film, even though no one really talks about this film anymore. And the trees send all of the kids off, and Mary and Tom off to Toyland, an hour into the movie, where they meet our toy maker and his inventor sidekick. And this is where we finally get the tiniest little bit of mention of Christmas.
I'll never make that Christmas deadline now.
Because they have to make toys for Christmas. That's it. That's the only reason that anything involving Christmas is related to this movie. And wooden soldiers. And there's so many really negative stereotypes. Edwin's character is a toy maker and he's so full of himself and he just screws up everything, but he blames it on his sidekick, who is the inventor of everything that happens.
Now, first we have to diagram the problem for the machine on the oscillograph, you understand?
Just make a doll, that's all. Make a doll.
Yes, sir. Now we select the ingredients. Sugar, spice, everything nice.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born.
That would be a lot better if that actually happened compared to what happens in this movie. There's more singing, there's more figuring out what's happening, Barnaby comes back and shrinks everyone down to size with the shrinking gun, and our inventor has to figure out how to make everyone normal sized. But Tom also finds an alliance with all the toys that come to life, because that's not nightmarish enough, and they have a full-on battle with Barnaby. And he gets shrunk down as well, so then their battle becomes equal scale. And the stop motion is fantastic. The wooden soldiers are probably one of the other best things about it too. And they're the only thing that's still recognizable that lived on past this movie, because we have the toy soldiers in the Christmas parades. And I do love their design, and even with the stop motion, it is art. It's wonderful, but that's 5 minutes of the film. The rest of the film is terrible, and there's so many stereotypes that are left in the 60s and the 50s. It's very old-fashioned and not in the good sense, and even we have a whole song that is a lot worse than Baby It's Cold Outside.
You're just a toy. You were planned and designed with one person in mind, to hold you and keep you forever.
After hearing this, you cannot say anything about Baby It's Cold Outside. Overall, I really hated this film. It was a complete disappointment because I was looking forward. Babes in Toyland, the cover art has toy soldiers on it. Toy soldiers go along with Christmas. I was expecting holly jolly Christmas fairy tale, but that did not happen. If I was watching as a standalone film, not relating it to Christmas, it might have been a little bit better. And obviously the sets are fantastic and the music's okay and some of the actors are wonderful, but it falls flat and it's really, really bad today. It did not last at all, and the storyline really is the worst. If you want to check it out for the art and for the songs, if you liked what you've heard so far, it's worth it for that aesthetic wise, but the story really ruins it. And I feel like that's the most important thing of any film. You need to have a good story. The only song I liked, which was the one I always knew, was Toyland. And that's not until the end of the movie and in the opening credits, but besides that, there's nothing about Christmas, so I'm very disappointed with it. But it's good because we learned it. I'm happy I got to see it, but now I'm glad I can move on. We're going to continue tomorrow with I'll Be Home for Christmas, so we're going to get back to actual Christmas movies. So you can stay tuned, and as always, I hope you have a magical day, and I will see you real soon.